Let's take a look at a key case in tort law for negligence. This case is the leading case for duty of care, and it is the case of Robinson v Chief Constable of West Yorkshire Police, which was heard and decided in 2018. The claimant in this case was Mrs Robinson, a 76-year-old frail woman. The defendants were West Yorkshire Police. The facts of the case were that Mrs Robinson suffered injuries when she was knocked over and fallen on by two police officers who were physically apprehending a suspected drug dealer, Mr Williams, on a busy shopping street in Huddersfield town centre. Both the trial court and the Court of Appeal held that the police officers were immune from a claim in negligence, in line with the existing authority on the point, the earlier case of Hill v Chief Constable of West Yorkshire Police in 1989. Which had decided that it was not fair, just and reasonable to hold the police accountable in that case to the public at large when failing to arrest the Yorkshire Ripper. The outcome for this case is that the police were liable for the injuries caused to Mrs Robinson. This judgment changed the direction of the law for negligence when establishing a duty of care. Lord Reid stated that the previous approach to the Caparo test applying to all decisions in the modern law of negligence was mistaken. He said the Caparo test does not need to be strictly applied in every case. Instead, courts should look to existing precedents and identify analogous duties, and where these duties already apply, the courts do not need to consider the Caparo test. Only in novel situations should the Caparo test apply. In this case, there was an established duty, such as with all public authorities, that the police have an established duty of care for liability and negligence through their own actions. It's also worth noting that the Caparo test was never intended to be a strict three-part test, and the Caparo test should be used in an incremental approach when establishing a duty of care in novel, that is new, situations. Looking at a variety of factors to establishing a duty of care, which could include reasonable foreseeability, proximity, fair, just and reasonableness, reasons by analogy, and other established principles, rather than looking at a three-part fixed test. Additionally, the case clarified the law following the case of Hill and Chief Constable of West Yorkshire Police, that public authorities, including the police, are subject to the same liability in tort as private individuals. They are under a duty to not cause harm to the public via their own actions, but are not under a duty to prevent harm following third party. The police are not exempt from claims in negligence. You can use this case as a leading case for establishing a duty of care in negligence. When applying duty of care in your exam, ensure you follow this established principle of identifying duty of care through existing or analogous situations first, and only apply the Caparo test, that is, the incremental approach of the Caparo test, for any novel or new situations. Read your scenario carefully to identify whether there is an existing analogous situation or whether you believe it is a new situation in the exam.